A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome to Women's View on Ahlulbayt TV, a live show portraying the views of women, as the Islamic views of women. Now, today's topic is young Muslim successful career women. Now, many women have the idea that in order to become successful or to go further in your career, we must compromise our hijab and our religiousness. Now, that's an idea that many women believe in this day and age, and actually has affected many women while pursuing their careers. So today we're going to be speaking about young Muslim career women, and inshallah be touching upon a lot of issues. Now, before we go straight to our topic, I would like to wish you all at home Eid al-Ghadir Mubarak. So Eid Mubarak to you and your families. Inshallah you enjoy this day. I just want to remind you all that this is a live call-in show. So if you would like to call in with your views or opinions, then you can call in with the number on the screen. Alternatively, you can email us at womensview@ahlulbayt.tv, and if you send in your messages, inshallah, a selection of them will be shown at the bottom of the screen during the show, so you can check them out. Now, I'm your host, Zahra Al-Alawi, and today with me is Sister Salma Jaffer. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Eid Mubarak to you, and inshallah you enjoy this day.
Too.
Thank you very much. We've got a few comments and emails yesterday when we advertised the show on the internet, so I'll be reading out some of their comments. But to start off with, this topic has been in the public eye in the past days, especially with the conversion story of Lauren Booth. Many articles published about British successful women. So we'll be speaking about that issue as well. But first of all, before we go into all that, what are the misconceptions brought forward against a Muslim woman?
There are plenty of misconceptions in regards to Muslim women. The basics are the public seem to think that we women are oppressed, and that's probably the very core basics, and how our lives are completely controlled by a family member. So it's like, you would be told to sit down, you would sit down. You'd be told to get up, you would get up. That's what the public have the idea of what Muslim women's lives are. And you have no control over your lives yourself. You have no right to speak up, you have no right to have your say. Yeah. And that's a misconceptions the media, I would probably say, have portrayed to everyone.
Definitely true. You know what, just last week I was speaking to a convert, and she said, I'm a convert, I'm British, I'm English, and she goes, I wear the hijab, and she went to a shop and there was this English woman. She said, Dia, do you speak English? And she was speaking to her in that kind of way, and she said to me, she goes, many people think that women are uneducated because we wear the hijab, we must be uneducated. So what would be your response to that?
It's a shame really, because you know what, hijab is just a piece of cloth that we cover ourselves with. That doesn't mean that we're uneducated and we have no idea what's going on and we're very, under the ground sort of thing. No, we're just basically modestly covering up ourselves. And obviously we've had shows in relation to hijab. There's reasons behind the hijab. Okay, so walking into a shop with hijab doesn't necessarily mean that you're uneducated. No, that's just a very wrong idea. No,
that's definitely true.
It's not right.
Yeah, because that is a misconception about Muslim women. When you find that many of us have degrees, we have masters. We've been seeking education for years, and we are educated in many fields. And I think that's not portrayed a lot in media, especially mainstream media. But I want to ask you, in terms of career pursuing, because, when someone goes forward in their life, especially after they reach, higher education, when they go into higher education, they start to want to go into a career path. And for Muslim women, do you think that the career paths are restricted? Can a woman pursue any career, or is it restricted? What would you say?
No, in my opinion, I feel that a Muslim woman can sort of head her way to any career, whatever she feels like. She has the ability, and it's all there for her. Yeah. However, there's a but to it as well. So the restrictions only come in if you know that you're going to go into something that you want to go into, but in relation to religion, you're going to have to do some things in that career, but it's against religion, then that's when you should sort of stay away from that career path. So if you want to go into something that you really want to, go ahead. There is no stopping you. Every woman has the, you know, ability to do that. However, if it's something, you know, in contrast with the religion, you should try and stay away from that, because obviously religion comes first in anything.
Definitely, yeah. I believe that even when we were trying to pursue a career, I think that some career paths that obviously compromise someone's hijab and religion, obviously those career paths should be avoided. But yeah, and I was watching a documentary actually. It was about women in the corporate world, and it was interesting because women in the corporate world, they still don't get paid as much as men, and they still haven't got high positions as much as men. So you find that it's not just Islam that, you know, people attack Islam when in the West, women are not even treated as equal as men. But yeah, you know, the origin of Islam, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and he realized that there was no rights for women in you know, pre-Islamic Arabia, and obviously he came to give rights to women. But I just wanted to ask you something in regards to this, because you know, in pre-Islamic Arabia, we all know that there was no rights given to women, and and then the origin of Islam came to give rights to women. But why do you think the West attacked Muslim women? What, like, you know, what in specific is there about Muslim women that the West attack? Is it their dress code, or, you know, is it the way that certain Muslims act towards Muslim women or portray Muslim women?
Well, first of all, it's this Western community, you know, and Muslim women, we have our style of living life. And so we have the hijab, and we have our attitudes, and we have our responsibilities, and things like that, and some things which is culturally based. To be honest, there isn't really an answer to this, but Westerns sort of think that we have no power over anything. I would probably suggest rather.
Definitely.
You know, we have no power over anything, and anything we would come across would be something very shallow. You know, so they tend to have this idea that they're right in anything they come up with, and we have no rights in anything we say, because obviously we're Muslim, and
Definitely.
you know, we're portrayed in a very wrong way anyway. So it's only just getting worse and worse from where it's been. Definitely
true. But from your experience, because you're a woman that wears hijab, and you've lived in the West, you've got a full-time job here, and you know, I assume, did you study here?
I did, yes.
You studied in the West as well. Yeah. So from your experience, you know, have you felt any negative, negative attitudes or attention from the West? Have you felt anything negative come towards you just because you wear the hijab?
No.
No?
I've not come across anything very harsh. I mean, I started observing hijab since the age of 7.
Okay.
I was observing full hijab at the age of 9, and started primary school. Then I went to secondary school, and I was, you know, with my hijab and everything, and you know, I had quite a few friends as well. I went to college, obviously, and university. And university, there was like a huge group of Somalian, and we had like a mosque and everything. And so in Ramzan, we would do like iftar and everything, you know. So there's been huge communities of Muslims everywhere I've been to. So in relation to that, I've never actually come across anything, unless, you know, traveling on my own late in the evening, taking a train and stuff, then you get this weird group of Western individuals staring at you and probably comment to you saying, where are you going with this hijab? And, you know, apart from that, everywhere I've been, it's never been as bad. So Britain is not that bad, because there is quite a huge community of Muslims everywhere. So you get that same living style.
But I just wanted to ask you something, because I think that many females, because we had some females email in Women's View as well, and they said, we want to start wearing abaya outside, but we don't have that confidence. We think that people are going to look at us weirdly. And, you know, like you said, there is a huge Muslim population living in Britain, and, you know, I wear the abaya outside, and I've never really had any negative attention as well. But why do you think some females think that if we wear the abaya, or let's say a female actually emailed in, she said the hijab, you know, she'll think she'll get treated differently. Why do you think some females think that if we wear the abaya or the hijab, people may treat us differently and we won't be able to go further?
Okay. The reason why we think that way is because of what the media has made us think. you know, if the media did not portray us in such a, in the sense that they have been, we wouldn't think like that. We would be freely wearing and observing hijab and going out anywhere and doing whatever we want. But we have this fear in us because of what the media has done to us. That's my opinion. That's my belief anyway. You know, and you know, some individuals experience, and you know what tends to happen is, whatever, if I keep saying something to you continuously over and over and over again, I'm sort of putting words in your head. And then even if you don't believe that, you would start believing that because I've been sort of digging into you, if that makes sense. So that's what's really happening. You know, we Muslims we're very good and, you know, honest. But then the media has portrayed us in such a way, you know, way that, you know, people seem to see us in a way that we're devil, basically. But we're not. But then the media has put the words into their heads. You know, and so they see us that way, and that's what's given us the fear. If they did not do that, then the fear wouldn't have been there, and we would have been free. You know, it's everything. It's really the whole media. I'm actually blaming the media, but it is the.
I mean, the media is very powerful.
It is very powerful. It's very controlling as well. You know.
Definitely true. We have an interesting email that has come through, and I think we have comments come through as well, which should be shown at the bottom of the screen. This comment says, Assalamu alaikum, Eid Mubarak to you and your guest. Wa alaikum salam, and Eid Mubarak. I think this is from a brother, actually. And it said, when we look at our communities, we find that our communities don't give much a platform to women to, for example, speak or take the public stage. What can our communities do about this to improve this? Thank you very much to your brother. So he hasn't really wrote in detail, but I think he's saying that our communities are not giving a platform for females. And I don't know, because I've heard this saying before, that people have said that there isn't a platform given for women, because I don't know if it's true or not, but they're saying that our communities think probably that the females are not capable of taking a public position.
Well, what I would say is we need to sort of work really hard and come up with some programs and you know, like organize events and stuff, especially for women. And those who are incapable and have this fear in them, we can sort of, you know, make this event such an event that, you know, get rid of their fears and, you know, speak openly and stuff. And that's one of the biggest platform I can come across, you know, to have this one day a week thing, you know, for maybe even a couple of hours. All females get together, speak to each other, share problems, solve each other's problems out. That helps. When you have someone to speak to and someone to share things with, that really helps. Rather than, you know, I mean, you can't do anything on your own. So, yeah, I mean, this is something that we really need to work with and something for the future as well. We should definitely have a platform for women. You know, this would be very encouraging for everyone as well.
Definitely. But in terms of, I don't know what aspect he was talking about, platform is religious
a bit
or
confusing, but if he had elaborated, then
if the brother wants to email back or anything, or even call, then we're more than willing to. But in terms of, I don't know if he's talking about the religious perspective, but in terms of religious perspective, do you think our communities are accepting for women to take an Islamic career role, you know, in terms of preaching the religion or taking a public stand in terms of Islamically? Like to further her career. So do you think that has become acceptable in our society, or is there a platform for women to take that role?
No, I think it has been accepted. I mean, going back to our religion, it does say that every day is an educational day for you. You know, education, somewhere along those lines, education is very important and should be every day. You know, so whether you're in your mid-20s or 30s or 50s or even 80s, you know, every day you're learning something, and that's, you know, it's encouraging upon us. So, you know, education is, you know, an encouraging aspect. And I think our communities are sort of, you know, supporting.
Definitely true. But, you know, many non-Muslims even ask this. I've been asked a few times as well. And, you know, this question's always been asked, that does the hijab prevent a woman from going further in her career? And, you know, and it doesn't matter, any career. Do you think the hijab actually prevents a woman from going further?
No, I do not think so.
Okay.
I don't think that a hijab stops a woman from moving on with her career. Because as I mentioned before, you know, hijab is just something that we sort of put, you know, like a piece of cloth over us, either a baggy top or a baggy trousers. If not, then a big cloth on top of us. Education is more to do with your brain and to do with you. Are you interested? Have you got the ability? You want to move further? You want to have some kind of a qualification so you can, you know, sort of educate your kids as well, maybe go into teaching, whatever. You know, again, it all relates. It's all like a relation to each other. Islam encourages education, plus a hijab is not something that is used for education. Hijab is for yourself. There's a whole reason behind hijab, like I mentioned before again. But you know, that doesn't stop you from, you know, going into a career. Again, in order to go into a career, you need to be focused. You need to use yourself. You need to use your ability and things like that.
Definitely. I have a comment to say in regards to what you've said as well, but we've just had an email come through, so let me read that. The Salam sisters, great topic. I am also a working Muslim woman, and I must say I have never experienced any negative comments at work. On the contrary, I do feel that people respect me and show me that respect by simple acts such as holding the doors for me or giving me the way to pass first in the corridor or offering me a seat. I think it's also important for us to show that we know our religion and we are proud of being Muslims. We should be confident Muslim women at work and display the qualities that the Ahlulbayt have taught us. Sakina from Toronto. So thank you very much for emailing in. And it's great if there's any other woman at home, you know, you're working, you've got a full-time job and you're a veiled Muslim woman, then we'd love to hear from you as well. And it's great to hear stuff like that, because for me as well, like I said, I had something to say in response to you. I haven't received any negative comments either at work, and I used to work in the mainstream media before, you know, now and then then when I started working at Ahlulbayt TV. But when I used to work in the West, I didn't really experience anything negative towards me. In fact, I felt like the hijab, you know, it took me further in my career, because I felt like no one really looked at me in a wrong way or, you know, mistreated me because I was wearing the hijab. So I think, like the sister said, on the contrary, the hijab makes someone move forward rather than push them back. And I truly believe that, honestly, I do. I really believe that. But yeah, but moving on, you know, recently with the whole, I think this has been a big story that's hit headlines, and that especially that, you know, tons of articles have been written on this issue, and that is when Lauren Booth converted to Islam, and that was probably a shock to many people. And I read articles upon articles upon articles on this, and then slightly it moved from Lauren Booth's conversion to Muslim female woman living in the corporate world and living in the modern world. And many people were shocked to hear that. Why would a woman want to convert to Islam? Why would a woman want to be veiled and become a Muslim when she has the freedom to do whatever she wants and the West gives her freedom? Many people were shocked. So many articles were written, both negative and positive. Would you like to speak about some of those?
Well, it's quite an interesting concept. In regards to this, it's a positive thing from a media to actually write an article in relation to Lauren Booth converting to Islam, as well as coming up with other Muslim women who converted into Islam. The shame is that this article was published just after Lauren Booth converted, whereas the interviews of these individuals had taken place many years ago. You know, so nothing came out at the time. But when Lauren Booth converted, the article came out then. Why?
Yeah.
You know, why is that? That's a question. That's a question to ask, and that's something that we would really want to know. That
shows how the media, I mean, anyone that studied the media will know that the media is very controlled, and it shows people the image that they want to show.
Exactly.
And even there's a concept within the media called the gate path, or it's a whole, you know, it's a concept that they let news go through as they wish. As they feel that the public, you know, what should the public know or what the public's interested in. So that was a very good example that you mentioned. But I read another article as well, and I've been reading quite a few articles from this lady, and I don't know if you want to speak about it roughly, but there's a writer that writes in an independent newspaper, and to be honest, I've read a lot of her work, and I'm willing to say this in public, you know, I don't mind, but it's my opinion, so I'm going to express them. But I've read a lot of articles by this lady, and she seems very Islamophobic. that when she writes, she attacks Islam. You know, she writes in a way, you know, writers, she writes in a way which is very attacking. And shortly after Lauren Bruce converted, she published an article in The Independent, and people can search it. Her name is Julie Burchill. Yeah, I don't know her surname, but and she was saying, why on earth would a woman convert to Islam? She just doesn't get it. She goes, a religion that oppresses women. She used the word oppressed. Yeah, she used the word oppressed. When in fact we know we're not oppressed. I mean, if anyone meets me or you or anyone else, they'll know that Muslim females are not oppressed. But the words she used, she attacked Muslim women to the point where she just killed. Like she made it seem as if we're living in hell or something. But but yeah, in response, there are many articles, especially if people research into this, there are many articles that attack Muslim women. And but in response to that, what should the general public do to kind of refute these arguments? Because, you know, a person that has no knowledge in Islamic history or Islamic laws would think, okay, you know, Islam oppresses women. So what should the general public do? Okay,
this woman and her writing an article in regards to, you know, the whole conversion of Lauren Booth to the religion. First of all, she should sort of, you know, look into our religion, try and explore what we're all about, and not just write what's in her head. You know, and like I said, the media has portrayed such bad negativeness of us that it's made people think that we are very bad. She shouldn't have done that, because obviously I think this article would have angered a lot of Muslims out there. If I just read one little paragraph, which is not going to take me long, but she says, just at the end of the article, it says, what sort of a woman freely converts to a religion which supports the oppression, torment, and murder of thousands of Christians, homosexuals, and spirited women worldwide every year? The sort of woman who writes love letters to a serial killer, I reckon. Still might as well look on the bright side. Go on, Lauren, treat yourself to a full face and most essentially mouth-covering burqa.
So it's very patronizing the way it's written.
You know, there are a majority of us here, like me, myself, yourself, and millions of Muslims out there wearing colored headscarf, not black headscarf, colored headscarf. Our face is showing. You know, we're millions out there. But then she, you know, talks about mouth covering burqa, and if I probably just, you know, show you this little image that she's got on the article.
That was the article for the general public. But yeah, I don't know if they can see that properly on screen, but it says, look at me, and it had a cartoon drawing of...
Okay, looking at this little image myself, it freaks me out, thinking, oh my God. But we're not like that. You know, now this woman, she's full of negativeness, like looking at the way she's written the article and the picture she's got there, you know, and this is the kind of thing that is affecting millions out there. Now, people who have no idea about our religion come across this kind of article, look at the picture, what would they think? If I was a non-Muslim and I was reading that and I was looking at that image, I would think, oh my God, what religion is this? Muslims are, you know, very bad.
Definitely.
You know,
it's a very negative image, but can I just say something in response to it? Do you have anything else to add?
No.
There's just one thing I want to say in response to that, because the media does portray women in a negative way a long time, but I really believe it's the duty of us, and even the viewers sitting at home, if there's a woman sitting at home and you see these types of this type of image portrayed about Muslim women, I think it's our duty to respond to the media. I mean, if someone doesn't want to take a public stand, if people don't want to come in public and speak, they could just write articles to the newspaper. I mean, many newspapers, they read the responses that they get on their articles. And in fact, there was an article that was published by BBC, and this incident happened, I think, last year. What they done, that when they published the article, there were Islamic honour killings. There was a woman that got killed because of apparently having a boyfriend or having relationships outside marriage. Okay. And it said Islamic honour killings. Now, this article, Muslims took an active stand and they started responding to these articles. They wrote to the BBC, they said, this is not Islamic, you know, Islamic honour killing, that's not true. straight after, the BBC took action and they wrote to the editors and they told them that do not use these kinds of vocabulary like Islamic violent killings is not, and they changed it. So many people think that responding to the media wouldn't have a effect, but it does. You can make an impact by just writing to media outlets like newspapers and TV channels.
It does. Words are very important. The way you say it is very, very powerful. You know. Again, if you go to, you know, it's always the successful women, I would say, who would realize the truth. The truth would only go to the successful women. So those successful women who converted into our religion are the, you know, the truthful ones. You know, like I said, the truthful would only go to the successful ones. So it's not a shock. It's not a shock the fact that, you know, these British career women actually converted to religion. There's no shock to that. That's, you know, the truth just came into them. You know, living a free life. What's a free life? Drinking, getting drunk, you know, doing things that you shouldn't really do. You end up realizing that there is no purpose in life. There is no life. Definitely. You know, you get bored. You do something every single day. You get bored. There is no meaning to life. Definitely. And they have actually they've realized that. You know, they've realized that, and they've understood the fact that, you know what, being a Muslim, there's a purpose in life. Everything you do here, you get the blessings in the hereafter. So there's a meaning to life. We're working hard on this life to be successful in the hereafter. So there's the whole systematic, it's like a whole game.
Definitely true.
If you didn't believe in the hereafter and you'd be doing things in this world, you would get bored. And then look at the rate of the suicidal, look at the rates of all the killings and, you know, all that. Why? Because they have no meaning, they have no, you know, they're lost. They're completely lost.
Definitely,
you know?
true.
And, you know, obviously the truth has come to these women, and these women, if you read about them, they were actually, you know, in part of ABTV and being a DJ, and you know, they've written their history as getting drunk and going to parties and stuff like that. And alhamdulillah, they actually realized, and religion came to them, and now they're fully hijab observing women.
Definitely true.
You know, so I mean, this woman who's writing such kind of articles, it's a shame that she's not aware, and it's a shame that she's writing such a thing, because I mean, she's not realizing anything. And again, I would go back to saying that the truthful would only go to the successful individuals.
Definitely true. We'll come back to that just in a second. We're going off for the break. Sure. But before we go off, I just want to tell women that, you know, on this note, that our capability is much more than we believe. So when we see stuff like this, let's get our laptops out and respond to the media. But we'll be speaking more about this issue straight after the break, so don't go away and join us in a few minutes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.